Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sheldon Forster, and I'm going to be showing you the customs modernization changes that CompuClearing have made in order to accommodate all the changes that customs have done for phase 1 of the customs modernization. What changes are required for phase 1 of the customs modernization? Firstly, you've got the customs procedure category codes at header level, then the customs procedure codes at line level, the new use second-hand indicator on import entries, the extra rebate code validations per CPC, the VAT claim indicator in the EDI message, LRN and MRN numbers, changes to the voucher of correction, restructure of the EDI or CUSDEC messages, and that now means that BLNS entries now fall in line with the import-export data mapping, which means that we now have 2 CUSDECs, one for imports, one for exports, where in the past we used to have 3, one for imports, one for exports, and one for BLNS. Now the advantage of this is that your BLNS entries can be framed and submitted to customs via EDI from the normal import module as well as the export module. On the screen we've now got the search facility that we've got on the customs procedure category codes at header level. Okay, all the valid codes can be searched for. The codes are as follows: A, home use; B, national and international transit; C, transshipments; D, temporary admission; E, warehousing; F, stores; H, export; I, temporary export and re-importation of goods in the same state; J, inward processing; K, processing for home use; and L, outward processing. On the screen now we've got the customs procedure codes at line level. Now all these codes can be searched for based on the procedure category code that was selected previously. I'd just like to go through 2 of them that are on the current slide. The first one is 1300, that is home use and simultaneous release into free circulation of replacement goods. Now that's a normal straightforward GR entry. If you take a look to the right of the slide, we've got the old purpose code. So just trying to make your lives a little bit easier when making your selections. Okay, just underneath that we've got a code which is 1320, that's also a GR. But now this tells us home use and simultaneous release into free circulation of replacement goods previously under the national transit procedure. So in other words, the 1320 would be a GR entry where you are quitting an RIB or an RIT. Then the next change we've got is the new use second-hand indicator. On the screen now, we've got the second-hand goods flag, which is on each line capture on the import bill of entry, and that's a little flag that flashes on the screen in red, and you used to only have a yes and a no. We've now added a new flag to that specific capture field, and that is the U. So yes would mean that it is second-hand goods, no means it's new goods, and U means it's used goods. And now most of the people now ask me, what is the difference between used and second-hand goods? Okay, on the screen now we've got the actual ITEC definitions of second-hand goods and used goods. Now what we've done is we've looked into these definitions and we've come up that second-hand goods is pretty much refurbished computers, refurbished plant machinery and equipment as examples. So it's any goods that have been refurbished or goods where a change of ownership has taken place. Okay, used goods are used clothing, cutlery, or pumps or engines, or any goods where you can physically see that there is some wear and tear on those items. The next change is the rebate code validations per CPC. In column F on the spreadsheets is something called a procedure measure. Now the procedure measure is the new term for a rebate code or rebate item. Now what customs have done here is if you take a look at columns A, C and D as well as E. So what they're actually doing is taking your procedure category codes with your requested procedure and previous procedure, so you get to your CPC code combinations, and they're now taking that and they're linking it to a specific rebate code, so they can say, so they're telling us that specific rebate code will only be valid for that specific CPC combination. So what we are doing on the system is we're creating an extra validation that'll check your rebate code that you've inserted on line level, check it against your CPC combination that was captured, and then we will let you through if that rebate code is valid for that CPC code combination. But if it is incorrect, we will then give you an error and say, sorry, this rebate item is not valid for the purpose code selected. Okay, the next change is the VAT indicator inside the EDI messages. Now what we've done over here is we've created an extra flag inside the importer and the shipper master files. So this is both the imports and the export master files. There's a flag that says importer or shipper intends to claim VAT from SARS, and that must either be a yes or a no. Okay, this is a compulsory field. you need to submit that indicator to customs, and specifically if the importer or the shipper has a VAT number captured against that master file. Now what customs are going to be doing here is they're going to on-forward this information to SARS. SARS will then, at the end of the month, when your clients or the importer or exporter does their VAT returns, they will match together the EDI messages that they've submitted to customs together with the actual VAT return, just to see if there's any anomalies. Okay, now we're going to be putting checks in the master files to make sure that when you create a new master file, if you do capture a VAT number, that you answer this question, either a yes or a no. The other thing that we're going to be doing for you, because we know you guys have got hundreds and thousands of importers and shipper master files, is we're going to run a program to go through the importer codes and the exporter codes and take a look and see if that importer or shipper master file's got a VAT number in it. If it does have a VAT number, then what we're going to do is automatically update this new flag with a yes. If there's no VAT number, we'll then update this master file with a no. And then all you need to do is get hold of your clients in the interim and find out whether they do in fact claim the VAT or not on their end of month returns, and all the anomalies, you just need to go and update those specific master files for the guys that have got VAT numbers that don't want to do the VAT claims. The next change is the LRN and MRN numbers. The LRN is your local reference number. This replaces the unique number of the entry and is made up of the following data fields: agent code, office of entry, date of submission, serial number. Okay, now the LRN number is basically replacing your old unique number. On the CompuClearing system, we're still going to refer back to the 8-character unique number exactly as it stands today. So whenever you do an inquiry, send an EDI message, you'll still use that 8-character unique number. Okay, wherever we need that LRN number either printed or sent to customs in a CustDec message, we will go into the database files and build it for you, just to try and make your lives a little bit simpler. The next number is the MRN number, and that stands for the movement reference number. This replaces the customs bill of entry number and is made up of the following data fields: office of entry, date, and unique number. This replaces the old customs bill of entry number. Okay, now whenever you reprint your bill of entry, we will now take this MRN number and print it in the for official use box, the same with the LRN number. The only difference is that the LRN number will print in the for official use box as soon as you framed your entry. The MRN number will only print in the for official box once your entry has been customs cleared and you do a reprint of your bill of entry. Then the next changes we've got is the restructure of the EDI or CustDec messages. Okay, the following changes have been made to the EDI messages, and these are just some of the small changes. Okay, one is the procedure category code at header level, the requested procedure code at line level, the previous procedure code at line level, the procedure measure or rebate code, the serial number changing to 35 characters, the VAT return indicator, the new used or second-hand indicator at line level. Number 8 is the biggest change that we've had in our system. Customs are now splitting the different duties in the EDI message or the CustDec message. Currently, on the CustDec message, we add up all the customs duties and we put them into a data segment and we send it off to customs. Okay, as of the 1st of October, all the different duties have to be split and shown separately in the CustDec message. For example, Schedule 1 Part 2B will be separate to Schedule 1 Part 2A, which would be separate to Schedule 2 Part 3. Now, the printing on your SAD 500 will stay exactly the same. So in other words, we will add up all the duties, print it as one figure on your bill of entry, but in the background, in the EDI message, we're now going to be sending the different duties through to customs. Then we've got changes to the duty tax indicators at line level and total level. The VOC replacement or cancellation indicators have changed. We had to remove the entry-exit place for BLNS clearances. Bank code has been added to the export CustDec messages. So in other words, we've never used to send the bank code to customs previously. We now do. That's your bank code that prints in box 28 of the SAD 500. We also had changes to the UNB and UNH segment identifiers for import, export and BLNS entries, because they've now included BLNS entries within the import and export CustDec messages. Okay, they had to provide for indicators to tell customs that it's an import BLNS movement or an export BLNS movement. Okay, then changes to the RIB acquittal data segments for national transits. We've never had RIB details within the CustDec before. Okay, now that's also included. Okay, on the screen now we've got a sample of the current CustDec message, and you can see that we've got one data segment where all the duties are added together as a global amount at line level. On the screen now we've got a sample of the new CustDec message. Okay, right at the top you can see the LRN number, Then you've got the new header level customs procedure code. I've also shown you the VAT claim indicator, as well as the new used indicator, the line level CPC code, and then right at the bottom you can see the duties are now split per duty type at line level. So on this specific example, we've got the Schedule 1 Part 1 duties reflected, as well as the Schedule 1 Part 2A duties. Changes to the VOC. Okay. On the import module, we've created a function key that says F8, replace. On the export module, a little question will come up and say, is this a replacement bill of entry, either yes or no? Okay, once you've answered those questions, you'll push the F8 function key. The following will happen. The little screen's going to pop up, ask you to key in what is the proper procedure category code, as well as the procedure code. Once you've captured that, we're going to force you to go through the header of your VOC again, just to make sure that you've answered all the compulsory questions for that new CPC combination, which might be a warehouse code might be needed, or RIB details might be needed. Okay, the rest of the VOC stays exactly the same with regards to changing lines or changing headers. Okay, some other changes on the replacement is you've got two scenarios. Once you've selected the replacement, you can either replace the entire entry. So in other words, you're changing entire entry from a DP to a WH, or you can change specific lines. So if your original entry was 5 lines and the third line shouldn't have been DP, it should have been warehoused, you can now select replacement. Once you've gone through the header, you can select your lines, select line number 3, and then amend line number 3, and that line number 3 will now become line number 1 on your replacement bill of entry. Okay, I'd like to show you the spreadsheet, or one of the downloads that you can get from Customs. It'll go through the CPC combinations in a bit more detail. There is also another tab at the bottom of the spreadsheet which also goes through the procedure measures. This is the CPC spreadsheet, or your Customs Procedure Code combination spreadsheet. Now on the right hand side, you've got your procedure code, which will be the A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then we'll show you, Customs show us that it's actually been split. So you've got a code, your requested procedure code being 10, your previous procedure code being 00. So what we've done on CompuClearing is we've actually added those two together and come up with a combined procedure code, just so that you don't select incorrect requested procedure codes with incorrect previous procedure codes. So there's only a certain number of combinations of these codes, and we've put them together for you, just to try and make it a little bit easier. Each of these procedure codes has got a specific description. For example, home use of ordinary level goods simultaneously dispatched to BLN states. And then just to the right of that description, Customs have actually given us the old purpose code, just to make it a little bit easier in our lives. Okay, I'm not going to go through every single one of these CPC combination codes, because there are quite a few of them, and otherwise we'll be here for the rest of the day. I'm just going to go down to the different chapters. So chapter 11 will deal with national and international transits. That's your RIB, RIT entries. Chapter 13 with temporary admissions, GR, EIGs, IM5, EXE entries. Chapter 14 deals with customs warehousing, which is your WH, XRWs, WE, XRBs. Chapter 15 deals with your stores. Chapter 16 deals with tax-free shops. Now on the spreadsheet, wherever you see something in red, so the description is in red, that means that it's not applicable for phase 1 of the customs modernization. They'll only be bringing it in phase 2 of the customs modernization. Okay, chapter 17 deals with exports. That's your ELGs, EIGs, EX1s, XE entries. So chapter 18 deals with temporary exports and re-importation of goods in the same state. ZE, ELG, EX2, GR entries and IM6s. Chapter 19 deals with your inward processing, GRs, XGR entries. Chapter 20 deals with processing for home use, that's your IRs, your XIRs, your industrial rebate entries. Okay, then again we've got some DA62s, and they're all marked in red, so those are not valid for phase 1 of the customs modernization. Then chapter 21 deals with outward processing, that's your ELG and your GR entries. You'll see they've actually done a big split between the old purpose codes to the new CPC combinations. I'm not going to go through every single one of these codes, because as you can see there are plenty of them. So your homework is actually to go back, download the spreadsheet, take a look at your current purpose codes that you use the most of, and map them to the specific CPC combinations. The other thing that you guys need to do is try and get used to the new CPC codes and what the old purpose code equivalents are. That brings us to the end of the Customs Modernization seminar. Please contact our help desk if you need any assistance. There's plenty of guys that are willing and able to assist you. and thank you very much.